Hello, beautiful people. I am Nikki. This is a night of horror where I talk horror movies and sometimes other genres and TV shows. In this video, I will be talking the new movie Blink Twice, the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz. She is the writer-director of this movie with a co-writer. And we got a lot of new people on the channel. We recently hit 1,400 subscribers. And before I can even celebrate that, we are now at 1,420. So I will be a broken record for the people who have been here. But for the newbies, I do not watch previews. And going into this movie, I really didn't know anything. I thought it was like a psychological horror mystery thriller. I thought something, suspicious or, sinister was going on this island, but I didn't really know much going into it. Blink Twice is a movie about a tech billionaire who meets a cocktail waitress at his fundraising gala, invites her and her best friend to join him on a dream vacation on his private island. As strange things start to happen, Frida questions her reality. This was absolutely not what I thought it was going to be. And apparently there's a trigger warning when the movie opens that I didn't see no trigger warning. But since when do we put trigger warnings in front of movies? Am I new to that? Like, I trigger warn in my videos, but I'm like, since when do we do that in movies? Although I will say, as someone who absolutely does not watch, but I tend to get sucked into watching with, like, unbeknownst to me, just like with this movie, I do not like to watch the essay revenge horror subgenre. And I went to go watch this horror movie called American Mary, and I thought it's about a young lady struggling through med school. I thought she was just gonna be doing some black market surgeries to make some money. Once I could start to read the room and see where the story was headed, I cut the movie off. I am not here for the essay revenge movies, and that is exactly what this movie is. So going into it, I don't know if that's clear in the previews, but for me going into the movie, I thought it was going to be like the TV show From, like I thought it was going to be like the movie that M. Night Shyamalan did. I thought it was like something sinister, mysterious, otherworldly or whatever going on this island, like something in that subcategory. But I did not know it was just the stereotypical hard R word against women. Like, just the stereotypical most vile men that, of course, they're going to abuse their power and assault. Like, I didn't know that's what we were doing with the story. So, trigger warning, I guess, for this video, we are dealing with abuse of power, hard R word against women essay. And I will say, great directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz. I absolutely feel like she belongs behind the camera. But I feel like I have a lot of praise for this movie, but I found it pretty predictable because of all the things wealthy men can do. Of course, they're going to assault women. Like, of all the stories we could tell, I just feel like, how come when it comes to trying to find disturbing territory, the only thing we tend to do is essay against women? Like, why can we not? I'm like, they could have been doing experiments on this island. Like, it's a host of ideas we could have done with this mysterious getaway to this island and people we don't know. I'm just like, why did this have to be the story she wanted to tell? But hey, who am I to tell somebody what story to tell? But I'm just saying, I just found the movie to just be the typical, I'm like, oh, so this is just the typical run-of-the-mill essay revenge story. I really wasn't expecting that, and honestly, it was kind of a letdown. Ultimately, I think it was a story that doesn't need to be told, wasn't executed in any way that made that same old standard essay revenge story any compelling or different in any way. Visually, I thought the movie was great as the director and some stuff in the story. I thought a lot was really good with this movie, but it just put a lot of holes in certain things. So the main plot of the movie is on this private island, there is this flower, this native flower. We are using an extract from it to make this potion to drug the women, and it erases their memory of the events that we do to them, right? And okay, I get that 100%, but there's some logic issues for me. For one, there's also a native snake that is indigenous to this island, and the venom of that snake reacts with the serum from the flower, and it causes you to get your memory back. However, the same issue I have when I be watching the zombie outbreak movies, when you have a different rate of infection for everybody, and I get when people are of a different size, medicine and stuff affects everybody different, but it's just too much with logic issues for me. For one, even if you lose your memory, there should be physical effects of what happened. Like, you should be sore, bruised, just a host of things. And how are we making sure the women aren't pregnant? I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot culminated in this. And then we get into moments where people have the snake venom, and it takes some people way longer to get their memory back. It takes some people much shorter time to get their memory back. It's just a lot of lapses and stuff. Now, we end up opening the movie, and we have a star-studded cast. We pretty much know everybody on this cast, and one person that was surprising for me was Channing Tatum. I've never understood the hype. I've never been a Channing Tatum fan, but he was the shining star in this movie. So we open the movie where Channing Tatum is giving this public apology. He had this big scandal. He's doing like the biggest philanthropic donation. But the thing that kind of bugs me is the movie ends and we're never told what exactly was the public scandal. What exactly did he do? Was it connected to this drugging and stuff that's going on the island? I hate that we don't get anything for that. Like, why open the movie with that if it really... I feel like you could cut that apology from the top out of the movie, and it kind of really makes no difference other than a really great scene with Channing Tatum later on towards the third act of the film when he's saying, I'm sorry, this whole great moment with him. But outside of that, because they do connect in that way, but outside of that, it's just kind of like, what's the purpose of giving us this public scandal? Is it tied to this or nah? Now, Frida and her BFF are living in this apartment, barely really making much money. We are told they have this black mold that they're trying to get their landlord to take care of, trying to get money together. And Frida is enamored with Channing Tatum from the get-go. She's looking at, stuff online. She's a part of working at the event that this whole, his company does. And we're told by her boss that she actually worked this event last year and she was way too chatty with Channing Tatum last year and that she needs to be more invisible. And Frida and her BFF, who are both working here, end up, after they clock out, putting on... I don't know what was, but that ain't my lane. I was finna say, I don't know what was with the hair decisions and the ensemble decisions, but that's not my lane. But Frida and her BFF end up attending this little shindig. And one thing that I could not connect, there's a lot of tripping and falling in this movie. Frida trips and falls when she first meets Channing Tatum, which when I first saw it and we got this moment, I felt like it was very reminiscent of 50 Shades of Grey movie, which is just so random. But when old girl trips when she walks in to meet Christian Grey for the first time. But the tripping and falling seems to be a reoccurring theme in this movie. People are tripping and falling in lots of different places throughout the movie. So we get this montage of Frida, her BFF, hanging out with Channing Tatum and this whole little group, and we're partying, we're having fun, and then they have to go to the island, and Channing Tatum comes back to Frida like, hey, y'all want to go to this island with us and go on this vacation? Baby, the way my paranoia set up. But I do like how the movie is presented, because you can say it's not a smart decision to go with strangers somewhere. First of all, I don't want to go nowhere I can't leave from. I don't have money to fly up out of that place and get back home. Like, I need to only go places that I can get myself up out of. However, I felt like it was very realistic the way this was presented. These are very young girls. It's not a smart decision, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it was a dumb decision. It's just one of those caught up in the moment. Not even caught up in the moment, caught up in the celebrity and everything. and just being young and having fun. Like, I've been in my early 20s, went on vacation to Miami, and me and my god sister ran into some random guys and girls. It was like a whole group, and we went back to, they had this whole like mansion, child, and we partied and stayed there with them. Never met these people before a day in our life. We stayed there with them the whole weekend. We were in Miami. We had so much fun. It was just innocent fun. Everything was great. So is that a smart decision though? Hell no. I don't know what we was thinking. But I don't see it as something dumb. I see it as it's very fitting to these two young girls that we are introduced to, and especially how enamored Frida is with Channing Tatum's character. Now, what I did find odd is they were not hesitant to get on a plane and go around the world to a private island with strangers, but Frida's BFF Jess was hesitant to give up her cell phone, which now that is the part that I would think is totally normal. Like, if you're hanging out with somebody that's famous or powerful, I'm pretty sure if you want to hang with Beyonce, baby, they're gonna take your phone. Like, I don't know, that seems normal that people who are in the tabloids or have celebrity would not want you to have a phone and be able to just take pictures or record or whatever the heck. So I just found it odd that she wasn't hesitant to get on a plane and go around the world, but she was hesitant to give up her phone. Now, we get a montage of we're partying on this island. Everything is all good. Everybody having the time of their life. The greatest vacation ever. And Frida's BFF ends up getting bitten by a snake. And all of a sudden, she wants to go home. She thinks that everyone is being weird. Everyone is way too happy. She's telling Frida, can't you feel that there's something wrong with this place? But Frida is very happy to be seen for the first time in her life. Channing Tatum is being very flirtatious. She feel like they got a little connection. She's pretty much blowing off her friend. So we have a moment where Jess goes to lay down while Frida goes back to partying and hanging out. And we get these moments of like nose bleeding that is the indicator that this venom is working and it's taking away the memory loss serum and stuff is coming to people. And what I thought was interesting was we'll get to them later, but we have native people that are like working the grounds and working at this place. And this woman that Frida keeps seeing, she runs into her and she offers her something to drink in a clear bottle, no labeling, and Frida just drinks it. Now that I wouldn't even do when I was younger. I'm not about to drink something out of an unmarked bottle. Like, she's just assuming it's alcohol, and come to find out it's the snake venom. So once that happens, now Frida has the nosebleed, and now she's suddenly, because I was watching like, girl, what the hell is your best friend? But it's coming back to her like, hey, where's Jess? And she ends up seeing the other ladies using Jess's lighter, which everyone keeps using. It keeps getting passed around. Jess kept like being like, where's my lighter? So when Frida sees this lighter, she's suddenly like, where's Jess? And all the other ladies are like, who the hell is Jess? Like, what are you talking about? So Frida goes to the room that Jess was in. It is now a storage room and no one has memory of her. And I'll be honest, even at this point in the movie, well, maybe not this far in, because it's clear something weird is going on, but my brain just did not go to they're essaying these women. Like, that is not, because I just feel like that felt predictable, so I didn't know that's where we were headed. Like, I'm thinking it's something like Wayward Pines. Like, I'm thinking it's just like a weird Stephen King, like, supernatural island, like something like that is going on, because do all the signs point to, of course these men are going to be essaying these people? Yes, but I just felt like, I know we're not going to go that predictable route, but I will say, as predictable as I just really don't like the story. I will say Zoe Kravitz, like I said, absolutely belongs behind the camera. She absolutely has a great eye. I am highly anticipating whatever she tackles next. But I feel like Don't Blink leans more into style and not enough into substance. Yes, we tackle a heavy subject, but the bulk of the dialogue is pretty empty. The partying, fun, doing drugs on the island segment is too drawn out. And the characters are pretty hollow because we don't know them. We don't know anybody. Which I'll get more into that later, because I guess the two main characters that it matters for us to know is Frida and Channing Tatum, and we don't know them niggas. Like, we don't know them by the time we get to the end of the whole story. Now, where I felt like Zoe's vision really shined and really came to life and was not just style over substance was after that whole sequence. Frida goes to another young lady on the island, Sarah, gets her to drink the snake venom. And this entire sequence from that moment through the dinner scene was gold, literal gold. I love Sarah and Frida coming to the realization something is up, and coming to the realization with the memories flooding them exactly what's going on. Love a lot of the themes and messaging, particularly the women having to plaster on smiles despite what they know has happened to them. And the acting was superb. Oh my God, the girl playing Sarah and the young lady playing Frida. This whole sequence was just really, really just a 10. Great atmosphere and tension building. Loved how things felt unnerving and off. Like, everyone seemed nice and cool. Frida and Sarah are like, I love when they keep giving each other like a certain look to like smile, laugh. It works so freaking well. And this is where I feel like, okay, this is where the messaging really hits home for me. And I love like Sarah having a conversation of, I'm having a great time here, but I also have a feeling that something's not right. Like, we discover also that these people don't know anybody. We were all under the impression that folks knew everybody else and that we were the only new ones. So that was also really good when how that plays out in this moment. And what Sarah and Frida end up doing is sneaking the snake venom into tequila shots so the other two young ladies can remember what's going on. But this is where I'm like, that inconsistency comes in, because it took them other two girls forever to get their memory back. Even though they took a ton of that snake venom, they was throwing them tequila shots back. And we end up getting a plan where Frida is going to go to Channing Tatum's room to try to get their cell phones. And when the guys come back, because the guys are like out fishing, the girls are having a girls' day, Sarah is supposed to yell "Fat Blunt." But baby's so far away, she can't hear her yelling "Fat Blunt." But this is where we had good comedic moments, because Sarah yelling "Fat Blunt" was actually really hilarious. And there is another, I swear, from that sequence through the dinner, everything is just such gold. There's also a moment where Frida finally hears the signal "Fat Blunt," but it's a bit too late. So she hides under this desk, and we have Gina Davis as Channing Tatum's assistant. He has a bodyguard. All three of them are in this room, right? As Frida is hiding, more memories start to flood. And we get flashbacks of all of the girls tied up and her best friend Jess being killed. They killed Jess because she was not forgetting. Oh my, like the way that happens in this moment. And also in this moment, Channing Tatum looks like he's walking towards the desk. And I love the way they reveal Frida under the desk. And Channing Tatum is like, what are we going to do with you? That whole tension moment, the way they do that is so good. He's not talking to her or about her, but that's how it comes off until you realize he's talking about this chair that they keep talking about being in a certain place. And when we all are together at that dinner table, oh my God, the way the actors are in this scene, the way that Frida and Sarah know they have been assaulted and have to sit here and fake and smile and get along and try to act cool and try not to alarm the men that we are no longer forgetting when Channing Tatum pops up. And Frida she's been flirting with him the whole trip. She has to keep playing along. I'm just like, you could simultaneously see them trying to be cool, but also the feeling of like her skin crawling being near him. I just feel like it was so good. And the messaging just really hit home in this moment. Now, It's a lot of reasons that I don't like SA revenge movies. For one, I don't want to watch anything with an explicit SA scene. And I will say this movie has flashes when the women are flashing back to remember. And it can be triggering, but for me, this was a lot easier for me to stomach than a movie like I Spit on Your Grave. I have never watched those movies. I never want to watch those movies. Or one that I've seen, The Last House on the Left remake. This is not like that. I feel like, and that's one thing I will give Blink Twice, is my complaint is always these SA revenge movies are always told through the male lens. It's always a male writer, a male director. It's men who created the I Spit on Your Grave franchise, and that always bugs me. So I will say it is refreshing that Blink Twice is told from a woman's point of view, a woman behind the lens, a woman, co-writing the story. And we do not get explicit graphic SA scenes. We get flashes when the women are flashing back. It conveys the story, but it's not anything graphic. But something that never works for me with SA revenge movies, outside of I don't want an explicit scene, just in how the story is told, you have the obligatory victimized woman turning the tables on the men who victimized them, killing them, and it's supposed to be like this satisfying moment that is coming in the story. And personally, for me, I don't find that satisfying. I'm gonna be honest. I don't. I just kind of feel like the two do not go hand in hand for me personally. I never liked that part, but I will say this is the best acting I have ever seen from Channing motherfreaking Tatum. I guess him and Zoe is just a great match. I don't know what Zoe was able to do as a director to get this performance out of him. I never understood the appeal. But in this movie, Channing Tatum was genuinely charming. Then when we get to the dinner scene and beyond after that, he was genuinely scary, sinister. Love the apology scene when he's screaming, I'm sorry, like 20 times. Oh my God. So good. So good. Now, we get this tense dinner scene. I felt like Sarah was not doing well at pretending during, I think it was like the dessert part of the meal. And I felt like Channing Tatum was picking up on Ish. And he goes to touch, there's a moment where Channing Tatum goes to touch Frida, like her hand or something, and the way she jumps, I'm like, baby, you messing up. And I don't care. I love that moment from Frida and Sarah coming together to the dinner scene. But where it drops off and doesn't work for me is kind of post-dinner dessert scene. The women start dancing on the table, and one of the girls that's there, Camille, starts to get her memory back. She kills Tom. One of the other girls starts to run towards Vic. He runs away, which I thought was odd. Why are you running? Why wouldn't you just fight her? Y'all get buck enough to assault these women, but now that they're coming at you, the men felt really unnaturally scary in this little post scene when the women get their memories back. Even when, we got this scene, like I said, where Vic runs away from one of the girls that's going after him after Tom is killed. And when Channing Tatum and his other guys hold up in this room, they're scared to go outside to go get the girl. When Channing Tatum is go get him. I don't know. I just felt like y'all are pretty unevenly matched. All of the men here, except for Ethan Hawke and Ethan Hawke, them son, he's a little pretty smaller guy. But everybody else, I'm y'all are bigger and stronger than these women. Why are y'all so scared and running? I don't know. It wasn't, I didn't get it. I guess you could say they're just, I don't know. I don't even know. But what I didn't like, but that's just me feeling bad for the characters, is the security guard ends up shooting and killing one of the young ladies. I think it was the young girl Camille who killed Tom, and then the other girl gets yoked up by Channing Tatum, and he ties her up when him and the guys are in that room holed up, and he puts his foot on her neck and kills her, and that hurt my soul. That hurt my soul so bad. And I've also felt like it was kind of unfair the way we snuck the venom in the shots for the girls, because you let these memories flood back to them with, like, I felt like the way it was done with Sarah and Frida coming together, we're able to talk this out and come to realizations. But I feel like it was kind of sprung on the other girls. Like, they didn't have a chance to get a plan together like Sarah and Frida. I don't know. I didn't like how it was done, because I feel like it was kind of sprung on them. The memories just flooded. And I also found it a little unrealistic, which I don't know. You know, everyone acts different. But the memories flood back and your knee-jerk reaction is to just kill the man. Like, Camille gets her memory back and just kills Tom. Like, I could see maybe attacking him, hitting him, hurt, but murder? I don't know. The murder feels far-fetched, but I don't know. And that's not a knock to the story. I'm just saying, just in essence, I just feel like we really went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, I can understand why we jumped to murder. And we still need to get off the island. So I don't know why we jumped to murder. But the writing, like I said, was a little weak for me, the dialogue. But the best moment of dialogue was Gina Davis took some of the snake venom, because when we put the snake venom in a tequila, Gina Davis comes and takes a bunch of shots. Now, after the post-dinner scene, Frida is in the bathroom where she had this knife like in the mirror. Gina Davis comes up behind her. And this is simultaneously an example of the horrible writing in this movie and the good writing. Gina Davis didn't want to get the memory back. She's like, they're going to do what they're going to do. That line just feels so elementary. They're going to do what they're going to do. Like, that's the best line we could. I don't know. That line felt kind of cringe and it felt very elementary. It just did not work for me. But then Gina Davis attacks Frida because she didn't want the memory back. They keep saying forgetting is a gift, which is more bad writing for me personally. And Frida stabs Gina Davis in self-defense, and Gina Davis is like, help me. She's like, bitch, I tried to help you. Like, I gave you this. I tried to help you. That was the best line. And you know what? The writing in that scene I said I love with Channing Tatum saying I'm sorry, that was good as well. But with Gina Davis, and like I said, we have a lot of people in here we know, but what kind of irked me is we didn't really utilize the talent of Gina Davis and Christian Slater. Like, Gina Davis really had nothing to do but fumble around with those red bags the whole time and fuss over that chair. And I didn't get the point of the running theme of the chair. It was just annoying. It went nowhere. We have a few running themes that I'll get into later that really work, but that chair was irking me. And something else that didn't work was we got a lot of overt like foreshadowing and different things, and the overt focus on the red bags, for example, it didn't work for me. And Christian Slater's character had nothing to do but take a bunch of Polaroids the whole movie. Like, I don't know. I just felt like to have Gina Davis and Christian Slater, I just feel like we could have utilized them a little bit better. But we end up where Frida is caught. She's tied up. She's in the room. And Channing Tatum is talking to her, but she gets a piece of glass and she's cutting herself loose. And it's super quiet. You just hear Channing Tatum talking, and I'm just kind of like, you don't hear her cutting herself loose? And this is when we get another bomb drop that Frida actually went through this exact same thing last year. Now, her boss did drop the tidbit, so the audience knows she met Channing Tatum last year. She worked his event last year, but we had no idea that she actually was on this island and drugged and assaulted last year. And this was another little thing that I felt like worked really well, was the fact that when Frida first gets here and she goes to her room, there's a really old container of lip gloss. Come to find out, that was hers from the previous year that she was here. I loved how that tied together. Like, I thought that worked really, really well. But in the end, I don't like how this ending of the island wraps up. Channing Tatum is about to kill Sarah, but he loses his memory and doesn't know what's going on because another running theme is him and this e-cigarette, which I didn't know what that thing was. I didn't know what he was puffing on, but it's a electronic cigarette. Well, when he leaves Frida tied up and goes to get Sarah, Frida was able to, cut herself loose, and she put the perfume, which is the snake venom, not the snake venom, sorry, the flower stuff in there that makes them lose their memory. She put it in his e-cigarette. And he comes in there, he's puffing the e-cigarette, but again, the rate of how this stuff works, I don't know. But he loses his memory. And I will say, it didn't flow for me. It felt very jarring. It felt like a shift that happens really quickly. Some things that worked really well for me with Zoe's vision was things like the ending showing us the green lizard that we opened with being what Frida saw last year when all this was happening and she was like running and fighting. Also showing us that she is the one who bit off Christian Slater's pinky with all of this assault that was happening, because there's a moment in the film where the guys are like, tell them how you lost your pinky and stuff like that. And like I said, the lipstick going back to, and certain things that I really liked was the women were dressed by the men. Like they had clothes in their rooms for them, right? Because remember, this was spontaneous trip. We didn't pack anything. Having the women all dressed in all white, having the women in these big covering two pieces, like it was giving very much purity. And I just feel like that speaks volumes. Now, some stuff I didn't like. I'm confused on the natives angle. They felt very magical Negro trope device. The shots were visually interesting of them, that feeling of unease and something sinister. But story-wise, there's a huge hole there regarding the natives that we see working the grounds. Now, like I said, the partying fun island segment felt too drawn out and repetitive. We did not get enough character development. By the end of the movie, we really don't know Frida and we really don't know Channing Tatum outside of a few random lines that Frida says about her mom. And something else that didn't work for me with the character of Channing Tatum, like I said, we never find out what the public scandal was, but also he says a few random lines about his childhood, about not being able to remember stuff before he was 10 years old and stuff like that. Why add like an ambiguous but like traumatic childhood of Channing Tatum? First of all, why add it and keep it so vague and not really give us a full story? But also, why add it? Because I'm not giving him no sympathy. And with the writing, something I thought would have been much better. I hated that they kept saying forgetting is a gift. That just feels so weak for me. I loved when Channing Tatum does his big speech that I was talking about, the forgiveness speech, and he says there's no forgiveness, there's only forgetting. Now, I love that writing. I love there's no forgiveness, there's only forgetting. Way better than forgetting is a gift. Now, one thing that I feel like audiences may be split on is the actual ending of the movie. Frida and Sarah survives. Like I said, they end up taking Channing Tatum's memory. Frida marries Channing Tatum. She marries her rapist who was a part of gang assaulting her twice. Well, multiple times, more than 2 times, but 1 year and another year. And it makes perfect sense for me. And I actually like that ending a lot more than the typical standard SA revenge movies where you kill the perpetrator, because number one, it matches the character. Frida's idea of living well and being successful, being the best revenge, plays out in what she does to Channing Tatum. I also see it where, for me, my idea would be, as a victim, I have to live the rest of my life in trauma and you get to just be dead. Like, the perpetrator's problems has ended. They're dead. But the victim's problems have only just begun. They have to live with this assault for the rest of their life. I'm one of those people who feels like killing somebody is them getting off easy. Like, you're dead now. Like, all your problems are over. And I also feel like the messaging that I got was... It's kind of like the video. I just did a video on that Worst Ex Ever documentary. And I was like, yo, sue everybody. Like, if you're a victim of assault, sue everybody. Because what other recourse do you have for people that value their power, their money? I saw it as he took her body, her consent, her mind from her. So now in turn, Frida took his mind, his fortune, his power, his consent from him. But I can see people not feeling satisfied with this ending because he doesn't, in essence, visually like get a comeuppance. Nothing like bad happens to him, because with these essay assault movies, revenge movies, they do all kind of stuff to the people. They F the men up and like kill them. So that's supposed to be the satisfying moment of the movie. So I can see people either not understanding this ending, like why the hell would she marry the person who assaulted her, but she ain't got to worry about that black mold no more, because why the hell I got to live with being assaulted and I got to worry about black mold? Hell no. Take his fortune. I just feel like I actually really like this ending because it's one of the things that I don't like about the essay revenge movies. Killing someone for me just does not equate to the pain and suffering and trauma that the person who was assaulted has to live with. So I'm very much here for that. I'm very much, like I always say, sue whoever you can sue. Sue everybody you can sue. Like, if you're assaulted by rich, powerful people, sue them. So I am on board for Channing Tatum having a life of suffering. But something I did not like, there was no comeuppance for Trey McDougal. Trey McDougal was in here. He was a part of assaulting people. And Frida runs into him at the next year's gala. He just gets to live on. Like, he lives on knowing she has her memory, But I actually really enjoyed this movie. I feel like I hate the story we went for with the essay revenge story. Some of the writing and dialogue was pretty weak for me, but I would give Blink Twice a solid 3.5 out of 5. And Channing Tatum and the young lady who played Frida and Sarah, but Channing Tatum and Frida carried the movie. Outstanding performances. Sarah, the girl who played Sarah, amazing performance. Oh, but a question I did have was the young pretty boy assaulted? Because I wasn't really honed in on the flashback scenes of them getting assaulted, but I could have sworn I saw the young pretty boy running and being chased, and then he does have a black eye one morning. Now, I don't know if he had the black eye because he was assaulting the women and maybe one of the women fought back, or did he have a black eye because he was getting assaulted? But I feel like Blink Twice felt like the movie Get Out in like a great way. I definitely feel like Zoe Kravitz has some talent. Not even some great talent. I feel like this was a great directorial debut from her. There was so much that really worked and that I really appreciated. But this ain't my subset of stories. I just cannot stand the essay revenge little subset of movies. It's just not for me. I think the only two, because like I said, I really try not to watch them. The only way I end up watching them is because I don't know what I'm getting into. But the Last House on the Left remake and the 2017 movie Revenge, I love both of those movies. I skipped the explicit assault scene, but I really, really love those movies. But I'm just not here for it. But I will say, I know the subgenre won't die. So I appreciate that we at least got a woman behind the camera and in the writing room for this one. I just don't want the men behind the camera and in the writing room. Like, that irks me. But I hate movies like this because I swear to God, I mean, it's like watching Roots or Rosewood. Like, it be making you hate people. Like, I be walking away from movies like this. Like, I just hate men. Like, men are vile. Like, I be feeling like there are moments in the movie where the guy's like, oh, they won't remember, like, and I really be feeling like movies like this make me feel like if men could get away with it, they would all be grapists. Like that's how movies like this be making me feel. Like it remind me of the TV show Westworld, where you have this place you can go to where you can assault, hurt, kill, hard R-word people, but they're robots, but they feel like people. Like and I'm just like, why would you even want to do that? Like, even if it's not real, I really be feeling like if it was just a lawless time, if men could get away with it, I really feel like all men would be grapists. But that's why I don't like watching movies like this, because it messes with my mind, man. It messes with my mind. Like, because it's just so sick. Oh, they ain't gonna remember. Oh, I wanted to punch through the screen with these men. Was pissing me off. And then there was somebody else who was told, like, well, you didn't assault the women, but you let it happen. You said, yes, you are just as bad. You sat around and you let it happen. It just upsets me so freaking bad. And I feel like we should have done more with Gina Davis' character, because she was complacent in allowing this to happen to other women. We could have really explored something with that, like opposed to the typical essay revenge movie where the villainous people are just always men. We could have added in the villainous woman who is facilitating this and sitting by and letting it happen. But the way it plays out, it's just grand opening, grand closing. It's just like, I didn't want to remember. Bitch, I tried to help you, and then it's just over. I just feel like we could have done more with that. We could have really fleshed out the villainous woman who facilitates and lets this happen to other women, which I feel like just would have been something good to explore. But all around, I do think it was solid. It definitely wasn't a bad movie. It definitely didn't suck. It's not like, oh my God, this girl should not be behind the camera. She can't. I actually think she should be behind the camera instead of in front of the camera. And I don't mean that like mean. I feel like she needs to be behind the camera. Like, she needs to be getting her vision out there, because I thought this was actually really great and showed a lot of talent. Let me know in the comments, how did you feel about Blink Twice? Do you side eye all the men after movies like this? Because I do. I'm like, get away from me. Y'all vile. Like, let me stop, because my analytics show that the bulk of my audience are men. But this is why I don't like watching stuff like this. This is why I do not like watching stuff like this, because I swear I be feeling like, can't trust, can't, like, God, oh, it just pisses me off. Because really, it's like, why are y'all assaulting these women? Like, and that's something else. It's just like, which we already know that SA is not about sex, it's about power and dominance. But it's just like, y'all got all the wealth in the world. Y'all can do anything y'all want to do. Like, you could have anybody you want to have. Like, if y'all want to fly women out who down to just yada, 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 y'all could do that. Like, why are you drugging and assaulting? Like, it just, oh, it ground. Okay, let me get out of here, because I'm getting pissed off. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.